Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Charlotte. I am a registered nurse and today I am super excited to be doing this Q&A session. On my Instagram and my story, I reached out and asked you guys if you had any questions about nursing school, states exam, ACE applications, an EP program, becoming registered, or just anything in general that was on your noggin. And I'm very grateful and excited because we got lots of responses. So today I'm just going to be going through each of them and answering your questions. And before we get into everything, don't forget to like, subscribe, do all of that good stuff. But for now, let's just dive right in. I have divided all of the questions up into different categories, so we'll just run through each section. And the first section is nursing school, which was definitely the most popular category. And the first question is AUT or UOA for nursing school. Keeping in mind that I've never been to UOA before, so I don't have the personal experience. I don't know how the lectures work. I don't know how placements are organized. I don't know how it's managed or anything. Keeping that in mind, I would pick which nursing school you go to based on what you want out of your degree and the perception you have of each university. So when I finished high school, I had just done 2 years of a really intense international baccalaureate. When I started university, what I was looking for was something relaxed, a little bit more laid back and hands-on practical so that I would get the most out of my education. And my perception of AUT was that it was a relaxed education and also very hands-on, whereas University of Auckland to me was very prestigious and competitive, which was not something that I wanted. I got accepted into both places, but the reason why I picked AUT was because I knew that I wanted something a bit more chill. At the end of the day, you are going to walk away with a Bachelor of Health Science in nursing no matter which school you go to. I would pick AUT for me personally because it was more relaxed, but if you're someone that wants something a bit more prestigious or competitive, UOA I would pick. So my next question is, what resources do you need? In my first year, I went a little bit crazy because of how excited I was, and I did splurge and get myself like all of the essentials that I thought I would need. Don't do that, because more often than not, your university will provide you with a basic set of nursing equipment in your first year. And in this set, it will have a oral thermometer, a stethoscope, a blood pressure cuff, and one of those, I don't know what they're called, it's like those eye torch things that you use for neuro exams. So what I would instead focus on getting is a student planner, because it is essential to be able to keep track of everything. Pens, because on placement and stuff you will lose them, and they are again essential. A little placement notebook so that you can write down your questions or things that you've learned or important information. Again, game changer for placement learning. I would get a pack, if you've got long hair, a pack of scrunchies or some really sturdy hair ties, because again you have to keep your hair up. And the final thing that I would get was at least 2 fob watches. I would get the silicone ones because they're easy to clean, just because in most places it's bare below the elbows and you can't be taking your phone out to look at timers and stuff most of the time. So having a little silicone fob watch, essential for placements and for labs. That's what I would get. The next question is, how many days a week do you have classes? So it varied. When I was in my first and second year, it would be normally 3 to 5 days a week of lectures. In my final year, most of the time it was 1 or 2 days a week. So it varies from 1 to 5 days depending on the course that you're doing and I guess the school also that you're at. Placements, all of them were 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. So the next question is, how do you use Notion for studying? I only really use Notion for note taking in my second year, specifically for pharmacology. I would make a page for the overall course I was in, and then when I went into the page, I would make sub-pages for each lecture that I went to, and then I would just honestly kind of copy what was on the screen and any information that I thought was interesting or helpful that the professor was saying. Very basic. That's how I used Notion for note taking. And then if I needed to study, I would have those lecture notes and stuff on my Notion, which I would go back to and just read over. But I didn't use Notion intensively during nursing school. So the next question is tips for passing pharmacology and pathophysiology in second year. So I'm going to be completely real with you guys. Pharmacology is my weakest area in nursing school, and it's something that I still don't have a lot of confidence with, which I know is really bad, but I am trying to continuously study so that I feel more confident with it. So what I am doing currently is, instead of trying to study every single medication by itself, which is not sustainable, instead I am trying to to study the class of medication. And so for example, proton pump inhibitor is a class of medication. And then I'm trying to find out the method of action, the adverse effects, the common ones, any contraindications, whether it is contraindicated in pregnant or breastfeeding people, and common dosage or route and stuff. So I will put that all in an Anki flashcard, and then after I've done that, I will find out 3 types of medications under that class. So proton pump inhibitor is the class, and then omeprazole as the medication. So that's how I'm trying to do it, and it's been working a lot better instead of just trying to learn everything. Tips for passing pathophysiology is find a YouTube video or channel that explains things really in depth and use flashcards. I'm a huge advocate for flashcards, especially in spaced repetition sites like Anki, where you can make your own, just because I think it's scientifically proven and evidence-based learning, so it is sustainable and it does work. And also just because I think it's good for the workload as well, because instead of writing notes, you can just make flashcards. So a YouTube channel that I would really recommend, Registered Nurse RN, because she does nursing videos and goes really in depth into pathophysiology that you need to know. And the other one is Ninja Nerd, which is a medical channel, but they go really in depth into different topics and stuff, and again explain things really well. Next question is, how did you write your notes? Do I prefer to write them by hand or electronically? So in my first year, I wrote everything by hand because I had read somewhere that it has been scientifically proven that if you handwrite it, it's better for memorization than if you type it. In my second year, I did everything electronically because I couldn't be bothered writing things out, and it was more convenient to have everything on my laptop, more accessible. And then in my third year, I just didn't write notes. I made Anki flashcards and tried to get all my assessments done. So that's how I did. And I didn't really write my own notes. I just copied things off of the lecture screen because I had this mindset that if it's on the screen, it's important. So I'll have that, please. And then I would also write down anything that the professors said verbally that I thought was important. And then for my Anki flashcards, when I started doing that this year, just writing notes using my flashcards, I would make important pieces of information into questions so that I could test myself, which is a better idea to do. So for pre-reg, what assessments did you have to do for 703? So pre-reg is your final semester and 703 is the transition to nursing paper, just for those of you that don't know. So when I was on placement, we had to do a full head-to-toe assessment on a patient with their consent in front of either your preceptor or your clinical educator. So I did that with my preceptor, and then you have to get them to fill in a form and stuff and then upload that as proof that you've done it. That was really the only new thing that we had to do. The main assessment for transition to nursing was a case study essay, and that was the bane of my existence because I felt that they were expecting too much for such a short word span. I didn't feel like I could go really in depth or talk about things adequately with the word count that we were given. You had to pick a patient, do a case study introduction on them, and then you had to talk about all of these different things, like how Te Tiriti o Waitangi had impacted their care. This was a couple of months ago. I'm just trying to remember what else we had to talk about. We had to evaluate the quality of nursing care to this patient as well. So yeah, it was just a general case study and then evaluation and discussion, but they just wanted a lot from you. So just if you're going into AUT 703, be prepared. And then you have to do your Mahara portfolio. And then on top of that, you also had to do a week 1 versus week 10, your nursing philosophy and how you think it has changed. And then also a week 1 versus week 10, how you've improved in your practice based on feedback that you had gotten from your previous placement and what you wanted to work on and stuff. So that was pretty much everything that we did. Oh, and also during your pre-reg placement, you have to do 2 lots of preceptor feedback. You've got your normal one at the end of your placement, and then you also have mid-placement feedback forms that you have to fill out. So, and then on top of that, all of your competencies and everything. So pre-reg is very full on. There's a lot to do, but you have got this. You have totally got this and you'll be fine. Is part-time work possible during nursing school? Yes, I have done it all throughout my nursing school degree. It does get difficult when you're on placements, but it is still doable. If you're going to do part-time work during nursing school, then I would really recommend trying to get something that's either casual, where you can choose which hours that you work, or something that is weekend, so so that you don't have to try and rearrange your shifts while you're on placement, which is during the week. I would also recommend saving up your leave during the year so that when you're on placement you can use it so that you don't burn out. It is manageable, it's just sometimes a bit difficult. So the next question is, how are the exams and do the professors give modules? So they were a bit nerve-wracking, but I did find them manageable and quite, compared to what I was expecting from university, they were a bit easier than I thought they would be. At AUT, a lot of them are multiple choice and a lot of them are also online, which means that you can choose when you take them as long as you get them done within the time frame. The only short answer exam that we had was for year 2 pathophysiology, and again that was fine so long as you had studied and everything, and in the lectures they really do give you everything that you need to know, so I think the exams are fine and you'll be fine, don't worry about it, you've got this. Do the professors give modules? In my first year they definitely gave modules because we were on Blackboard and that was how everything was set up. Now they kind of just organise things into the lectures, they don't really have modules for you to go through and everything, you just show up to your lecture, study, do the assessments, and that's really it. So the next question is that I love the practical side of nursing but struggle due to personal reasons with the study. Any advice? So I don't know what the personal reasons are, that's your business, but if it's things like finding it difficult to concentrate, then I would recommend doing your studying in small chunks instead of trying to make yourself do hours worth of study. And I would always start with something that you're either interested in or good in so that you have, that it gets easier to kind of get into the study mindset. So I would always start off by studying something that I was interested in by watching a video of something that I wanted to know more about, or I would use my Lecturio spaced repetition because I knew it was something that I was good at. So start by doing that. Yeah, I think you just have to keep tailoring it to what you're interested in and then kind of pulling pieces that you're not so interested in small chunks, if that makes sense. But yeah, no, studying is really difficult and it's really, really annoying and frustrating and kind of boring a lot of the time, so I understand. If you find it difficult doing it by yourself, then definitely organize a study group, because then it kind of becomes less like a chore and you're more like hanging out with friends and stuff. Really easy way to make it a little bit more fun and interesting, and then you also have different perspectives and different people's knowledge and stuff that can help you out with things. I also love the practical side of nursing, but I don't like studying, so I get it. Yeah, if it's concentrating, just do small chunks, reward yourself, and make sure that you're not too hard on yourself as well, and celebrate all of the little successes. So the next section is on placements, and the first question is, did you do a mental health placement and what were your thoughts? So I did do a mental health placement. It was one of the big papers in year 2. I was really apprehensive about it because it's not an area that I'm interested in working, and I don't have that passion or drive to work in mental health specifically. So yeah, I was a bit apprehensive, and also the placement that I ended up going to was forensic mental health, which I was a bit scared about doing that because I was like, is it going to be safe? Will it be okay? I'll be 100% honest with you, I didn't enjoy the placement because of how stressed I was the whole time and because it wasn't something I was interested in. However, I do think it is really important that everyone does a mental health placement, because no matter what area of nursing you end up going into, you are going to deal with people who have mental health problems, or you need to be able to deal with people who react slightly differently to others. Even though I didn't like it, I didn't enjoy it, I found it stressful, I still took value away from it because I understood that these skills that I'm learning here are going to help me in the long run, no matter what area I end up in. If you're feeling apprehensive about your mental health placement, don't worry, most people are. Just know that everything is completely safe. Any place that you go to will have measures put in place to keep you safe, and they'll have protocols and policies for you to follow. Your nurse preceptors are going to be incredibly experienced and they will have your back. My mental health preceptors were some of the loveliest people I ever met, and they were really, really helpful, explained everything really well and encouraged me. So don't worry about the staff because you'll be fine, you're in good hands. Yeah, I did do a mental health placement, didn't like it, but it was still valuable, and that's my opinion. The last question I got for this section was, how did you financially cope during nursing, especially during placement? I had StudyLink. I can't even describe how important that was in order to get me through my nursing school degree, because it's really, really tough trying to work a job and also do placement. So I had StudyLink, and then I also worked part-time at Countdown's supermarket on Saturday and Sunday. I did weekend shifts because it didn't clash with my placement, and I just saved up my leave and stuff so that I could take days off while I was on placement, and that's how I coped financially during my nursing school degree. The next section is the states exam. What are the exams after completing your 3-year course? That's the state exam by the New Zealand Nursing Council. It's not with your university, it's separate. This is the exam that you take in order to get registered. It's multiple choice. It's 120 questions. You have 2 hours to do it, and that's the only big exam you have to take at the end of your degree. What did you find most helpful for when studying for states? I found practice questions and lecturio the most helpful things. Lecturio because I was able to keep on top of my spaced repetition cards and also search up videos of topics that I was not the most confident in, and also do practice questions because lecturio has all 3 of those things. But you don't need to pay for a subscription to lecturio in order to do well in the States. You can just search up practice questions, practice nursing exams on Google, and it will come up with stuff. So that's what I also did during the practice drug calculations, practice exams every single day leading up to my States exam for a month. That was what I found the most helpful because you kind of get used to the structure of multiple choice exams, and then also you're refreshing your knowledge and seeing what areas that you need to work on. My university also did state exam workshops. We had 1 workshop a week for a month leading up to the states exam on different topics, and they were just practice questions which we would then go over with and discuss in class. That was also really, really helpful. Next question. I cram for everything. How can I be prepared in advance for state? I would recommend doing at least 1 or 2 practice exams every day for a certain amount of time. I would recommend at least a month because it doesn't matter if you cram everything, at least you've also got those exams, which means that you've practiced the exam format and then you've also kind of refreshed other areas of your knowledge just little by little. Study however you want, but if you want to be prepared in advance for state, the most helpful thing that you can do for yourself is doing practice exams, which you can just, as I say, look up online. So the last question in this section is, were the states easier than you expected? Easier, harder, or multiple choice? They were easier than I expected. I still didn't feel very confident walking out of the room that I had done well. Like I couldn't tell if I had passed or not. That was partly due to all of the self-doubt creeping in, but also just because I really just wasn't too sure. It was easier than I expected though. I was practicing using NCLEX questions, which are notoriously more difficult than state exam questions. I think that's why I found it a bit easier because I had been preparing using NCLEX questions. All of the questions are multiple choice, even the drug calculation questions. You just have to work out the drug calc and then click the right answer. But yeah, you'll be fine for states. I'm going to do a video in depth about how I studied for it and what to expect and everything, so stay tuned for that. The next section is becoming registered. First question is, did you have any ideas of what you wanted to do when you qualified, or even what you thought you liked but in the end you absolutely hated and wouldn't see yourself doing? So when I first got into nursing school and I didn't have any experience in a hospital, I thought for sure I wanted to do bedside nursing on a hospital ward. That was kind of what I had seen in movies and TV shows, and it's what looked really exciting, and that was really the only idea I had of nursing. That's what I wanted to do. And then my first placement I didn't enjoy so much, and that was bedside nursing. I hated it and I wouldn't want to do it. Did I have any ideas of what I wanted to do? Once I started learning more about the different types of nursing, I became really interested in theatre nursing, partly because it's a little bit more relaxed. You have a set patient load for the day and there's a structure to it. I'm an introvert, and so sometimes bedside nursing can be quite overwhelming because there's a lot of people going to and from and stuff, but in theatre my perception is that it's a bit quieter and more relaxed. So theatre nursing was something that I was really interested in, but I didn't get a surgical placement, so I never got the experience, like the opportunity to make my mind up about it. The next question is, where am I doing my NET-P year? If you don't know, NET-P stands for New Entrance to Practice Program, and it is the program that like 99% of all new grad nurses go into in New Zealand in your first job. Pretty much it's like you get study days and stuff put aside for you so that you can continue to develop your nursing practice and your confidence. And in order to get into the NET-P program, you've got to go through ACE, which is a whole other thing that I will do a video on because it is pretty important for New Zealand nursing students, and I had no idea about it until my final year, so I will do a video about that. I'm doing my NET-P year at a GP centre down in Hamilton. I'm super excited. It is community nursing, which was what I wanted. I'm obsessed with community nursing. nursing. It's clinical because I really liked when I did my district nursing, I loved being in clinic and, you know, just having people around me to support me if I needed it. So I'm so happy and relieved. So I'm doing practice nursing as the title. I'm a practice nurse at a GP centre. So I'm going to be doing lots of vaccinations, cervical smears, diabetes management. I'm just wound cleaning. I'm just really excited and so chuffed that I got this as my first job, and it was my first choice out of all of the places that I interviewed for. So yeah, I'm so excited to be sharing with you guys that next step on my nursing journey. So the last question is, how are you feeling about now being a registered nurse, and what field of nursing interests you? I am so scared about actually being a registered nurse. It doesn't feel real to me, and I feel very aware of like the responsibility and the pressure that I'm putting on myself about it. I really want to help people, and I don't want to do anything wrong. I'm really scared about making mistakes and stuff, even though I know that they're going to happen. So I'm just trying to be kinder to myself and try and hype myself up a little bit more, because I am also really excited that like this is the first nursing job I'm getting in the field of nursing that interests me. I really want to become like a nurse specialist in something, and at the moment I did my diabetes placement and I just thought that was amazing, and I really loved learning about it, and I just really enjoyed it. So currently I'm steering towards becoming a diabetes nurse specialist, but you know, as I gain more experience and see different things, that might change. So, and then the last section and the last question is miscellaneous, and I got a really cute question saying, what is your 10-year plan? I don't know. I haven't really planned that far ahead because I don't know, like in 10 years I'm going to be 32 years old. I will have been a nurse for 10 years, which is crazy. Hopefully I will be a diabetes nurse specialist by then. Maybe I'll have my master's degree, or I'll be working on my master's degree. Maybe I'll still be at the same practice, or maybe I'll have moved on to different places. I really don't know. It just depends on how this first year goes and what kind of opportunities I get given. We'll just see what happens. But yeah, I see myself still nursing in 10 years. So, and hopefully we'll be saving up for my own house by then. I don't know. Hopefully we'll have traveled a little bit. I don't know. So, so that was today's video. That was the second ever Q&A that I've done. You can check out the first Q&A I did when I had just finished my first year of nursing school. Thank you to everyone who sent in questions. I really appreciate it, and I hope that my answers helped. If they weren't, I'm so sorry. I tried my best. Use the comments to leave behind your advice for nursing school or for new grad nurses for our lovely community. Sharing is caring after all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all of that good stuff. I'll see you next Monday with a new video, but until then, have a lovely day and a fabulous week. Bye! It's rated X. That means you're extra.